Welcome into another edition of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage, your chance to get FaceTime with some of your favorite big league ball players. And we are lucky enough today to be joined by A.J. Pierzynski, catcher of the Boston Red Sox. A.J., thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, so the way you can get involved is hashtag Chatting Cage if you want to get us your question on Twitter, or press that red button at the bottom of your screen. Get in line. You can get on your webcam, and you can actually ask AJ the question yourself. We are going to start with Twitter, and AJ Kimberly, her handle is a righty, wants to know who's the best or worst person on the team to share a hotel room with while on the road.
Oh, the best or worst? Well, luckily we don't have to share hotel rooms because we're fortunate enough that we get our own room. But if I had to share one, I probably wouldn't want to share one with Dustin Pedroia because he gets up too early. He stays up all night. He'd be doing dry swings all night in the other bed. It would just be weird.
Yeah, they say Pedroia is always the first guy to the ballpark, I believe. All right, we're going to welcome in our first fan now. This is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage, so press that red button. Get in line. Get your questions in for A.J. Pierzynski. We have a fan on the line now. Can you just tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for A.J.?
AJ, I'm a huge fan, huge Red Sox fan. I just got to ask, with being 8 games down and the All-Star break, of course, being a huge pivotal moment in the MLB season, what's it going to take in the second half to, get back on track and get back to being a contender like the Red Sox Nation used to be in?
Oh, well, first of all, we haven't given up on the games before the All-Star break. There's a bunch of those still left. I know everyone points to the All-Star break for the halfway point, but all we got to do is just play up to our capabilities. I think everyone, myself included, hasn't played the way we're capable of playing. If we do that, we're going to be fine. We're not dead yet. We got a lot of time to go. We got over half the season left, so there's a lot of time left, and I think we'll be okay. I think no one in this clubhouse has given up hope, and I just need the Red Sox fans to believe in us, and things will get turned around here.
And obviously a big series with the Yankees coming up right now. All right, we're going to go back to Twitter now, AJ, and Splash Middleman wants to know, does your work behind the plate help you or hurt you as a hitter?
I think it can do both a little bit. I think it can help you in the fact that you have a somewhat of an idea of what's coming some of the time, or most of the time you would think. But I think it can also hurt you because you also know what's coming, and sometimes you swing at bad pitches because you know, hey, this guy's going to throw me a curveball here, and I'm going to swing at it because I guessed right. So it can help and hurt you, and it also can go one way or the other. A lot of times you can take sometimes you take your catching to your bat, say you have a long inning and you're leading off the next inning. It can wear on you because you can still be thinking about the inning before and how you could have got out of it sooner.
AJ, I know baseball is a game of subtleties, and for a catcher, one of the toughest things is having time to work on your hitting, because I know you spend so much time working with the pitchers. Are there small things that you do on a daily basis to help you out as far as hitting goes?
Oh, you just do the same thing. You try to develop a routine. You try to stick with it. This game's so up and down. It's so hard. It's so mental that I believe you have to have some sort of a routine and stick with it, whether it's not necessarily like you have to do everything at a certain time. It's just more you just have to do the same things and believe that it'll work. And it's worked for me for a long time, so hopefully it'll keep working here for a few more years.
This is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage, your chance to get some FaceTime with A.J. Pierzynski today. And we have another fan on the line now. Can you just tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for A.J.?
Hey, this is Eddie from Manassas, Virginia. Hey, AJ, as a kid, who was your role model on and off the field?
Growing up, I was a big Braves fan, so Dale Murphy was kind of my guy on the field. We didn't have a Rays. I grew up in Florida, so we didn't have the Rays. We didn't have the Marlins, so Dale Murphy was kind of the man when I was a young kid. We used to road trip it every year up to Atlanta. And then I guess my mom off the field, she just did everything for me that she could to help me become a big league player. And to this day, she still wants me to succeed, I think, even more than I do.
All right, AJ, we're going to go back to Twitter now, and Jimmy LaFakis wants to know, obviously you've played in some different cities in your career. He wants to know what the coolest part of playing in Chicago was.
The summers and the fans there, just the city itself. People ask me all the time, what was the best city? It's my 5th city in the big leagues I played in now, and without a doubt, Chicago was the best just because being there in the summer, winning there, and also just getting to know all the people there and seeing it at its best in the summer. The winters aren't so good there, but in the summer, there's no better city in the world to be in that I can find.
Absolutely. Chicago, a beautiful city this time of year especially. We got another fan coming up on the line. This is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Here's the fan. If you can just tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for A.J. Pierzynski.
Jeremy Diaz from Miami. I just want to know, AJ, which teammates besides Big Papi can you throw out at the bases?
Besides David, I think David would be pretty easy. I think we got a whole bunch on this team. I'm going to say I could already throw out pretty much all of them. We don't got a lot of speed on this team, so I'm going to take my chance. Depending who's pitching, though, you know, sometimes you get bad matchups with pitchers, but I think David would definitely be first in line for guys I could throw out. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, but he's not running a whole lot of the time, so that's good. All right, we're going to go back to Twitter.
No, he didn't steal a whole lot.
We're going to go back to Twitter now, AJ. And Brody in Ill03 wants to know, did you ever imagine that you'd be able to stick around in the major leagues for 17 seasons?
Brody, no, I did not. I remember when I first came up and stuck, I was 23 years old. And guys were always talking about, man, you got to get your 10 years in. And I remember thinking, gosh, I got to play till I'm 33 years old. There's no way on earth I'll ever make that. And now I'm 37 and still going. So I can't complain. It's been a great run. It's been an amazing career. I've been very fortunate, very blessed. So I never thought I'd make it this long, and hopefully I can keep it going for a couple more years at least.
Yeah, you've certainly been on some talented teams along the way, and a lot of fans out there are big fans. All right, we're waiting for one of those fans to get back online here, and here we go. If you can just tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for AJ.
I'm from Keystone Heights, Florida, and I wanted to know, what is it like to be playing with David Ortiz and Pedroia and all the other guys this season?
Oh, it's been awesome. Obviously, David and I don't know how many people remember this, but David and I played together in the minor leagues, A-ball, double-A, all that stuff coming up. So I've known David now for almost 20 years, so him and I go way back. But to be able to play with guys like Pedroia, Napoli, Gomes, all those guys that have been around that you've heard about on other sides, Stephen Drew, and then John Lackey and John Lester, it's pretty cool to be able to say I was teammates with those guys because you get to see how they go about their business, you get to see their work ethic every day, and you get to see how fun they are to be around and how much they enjoy playing baseball. And it's a treat for me to see this and be a part of it, and just to be around those guys every day. It puts a smile on my face because they're awesome people on and off the field.
All right, AJ, we're going to go back to Twitter now, and Squeaky TC Fresh wants to know, what was it like to be a part of a perfect game?
That's one of definitely the coolest moments of my career. Being able to catch a perfect game for Phil Humber is one of the great guys you'll ever meet in baseball. And be the catcher, and to think you had some small part in it just by putting down the right fingers. But I got to catch it, and when Mark Burley threw his, unfortunately I didn't get to catch it, but I was in the dugout. So I've gotten to see two of them now, and both of them are two of the coolest moments you'll ever be a part of as a player, especially as a catcher. But to catch Philip Humbers was amazing, and it's one of those things where you look back, you can always just kind of check it off your checklist as, hey, there's only been 22 or 23 of them in the history of the game, and to be one of them is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I would think you guys are forever intertwined, too, you and Philip. It's pretty cool.
That's right. We'll always have that.
All right, this is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. We have another fan on the line now. Can you just tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for AJ?
Hey, I'm Justin from Indiana, and I was just wondering, what was it like working with TNA Wrestling back in 2005?
Wrestling is one of my all-time favorite passions back from when I was a kid, growing up in the 80s with Hulk Hogan and all those guys in the WWF at the time before it was WWE. It was just kind of a thing I always liked, and I got to go to a bunch of matches being from Florida. And then when TNA approached me with the opportunity to get into the ring, it was something I couldn't turn down. I got to beat up a couple guys. I got to fight David Eckstein one time. That was fun. But I got a couple wrestling belts, which no one can ever take away from me. But I will say this, it's the most nervous I've ever been in my life. I've been in the World Series. I've been in All-Star games. I've done all that. But stepping in the wrestling ring was as nervous as I've ever been.
I guess kind of stepping out of your comfort zone, that's for sure. All right,
Exactly.
We're going to go back to Twitter now, AJ. And Socks and Sneakers, you got to love these Twitter handles, wants to know, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, that's hard. People always, want to give you their advice. They always want to give you their 2 cents. But the best parts of advice is try to remember this is all a game and to try to have fun with it and do your best. Because at the end of the day, if you do your best, it's all you can really worry about. There's nothing else you can't control the results sometimes, but as long as you know you're putting in the work and you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're doing it right, things will work out in the end.
All right, AJ, that's going to do it. Thanks a lot for joining us.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all the great questions.
That does it for another edition of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Thanks for joining us.